How can we prepare the tab components in Lightning Web Component Framework? What are the various built-in components that has been given by Lightning Framework to be used to prepare your own tab components, and what are the various properties that we have? We'll see one by one. And then we'll see a practical use case. How can we design a tab component in Lightning Web Component Framework? We'll see with practical. Now, so let's go to a small scenario as part of my Salesforce org. I'm going to my Salesforce org now. Now, I'm going to my application. I can access my records. So let me open an existing record which we have created in the past. So now, when you observe this particular user interface, here we are having tab components. This component is called as a tab component here. This component is called as a tab component. Now in this case here, okay, this is a panel or this is a container or the placeholder which contains so many tabs like related tab, details tab, employee details tab, patient details tab, various tabs are available here. Now in this case, each tab will have its own user interface. When I click on related tab, it will show a different screen, a different user interface. When I click on details tab, a different user interface will be visible. Employee details tab, a different user interface. Patient details tab, a different user interface. That means multiple user interfaces are available. These multiple user interfaces we have combined it together in the form of a container that is called as tab component. This entire component is called as tab component. This is called as a panel or a container which contains multiple user interfaces. So to prepare this container, we have to use the help of a component called as tab set. Tab set. To prepare a panel or the container, we are using tab set. In this tab set, we are having so many tabs. So this is a separated tab. Related is a tab. Details is a tab. Employee details is a tab. Patient details is a tab. So inside this tab set, we can have multiple tabs. These are all our tabs. These are all our tabs. So under a single tab set, we can place multiple tabs also. So whenever we are preparing the selecting tab components, we have to use the two components over here. First one tab set, second one tab. So tab set is nothing but a container or a placeholder or a panel which contains a collection of tabs inside that. Not only one, multiple tabs also we can able to represent. In this case, we can show the tabs in the form of either horizontal formats also, or we can show the tab in the form of vertical format also here. Depends upon your requirement, we can show the tabs either in horizontal or vertical formats also, like as one by one, like related tab and details tab, employee details tab, patient details tab, like that we can show one by one over here. So now in this case, whenever we are going to be having this tab set component, tab set is nothing but a panel or a container or a placeholder which contains a collection of tabs inside that. Now, each tab will have its own user interface. Each tab contains a separate user interface to perform some different actions. So, related tab will be having a different user interface. And then details tab is having different user interface. Employee details tab is having different user interface, and the patient details tab is having different user interface. So each tab contains its own user interfaces which can be used to perform the required actions. Now, in this case, as part of this tab, it is having a user interface. In this user interface, you can place your own user interface controls. Your visual appearance controls you can place. You can show the static content also. Here I have given some static content over here. Now, when you go to the another tab, here we are having dynamic content. When you click on the button, it will do some operations over here. So it may be static content, dynamic content also we can able to see, we can able to represent under each and every tab. So that here each tab contains its own user interface which can represent either static or dynamic content inside that. If it is a static content, that will be fixed always, which cannot be editable. If it is a dynamic, then we can able to place some visual appearance controls which can be used to supply some input values at runtime. When you go to the details tab, when you click on this edit, we can able to see that. This is the tab. It is providing the user interface where we can enter some data. It is having so many input controls will be available here. So we can place your own visual appearance controls in order to supply some input values to the component at runtime so we can perform the required actions. So that here, as part of this tab, each tab provides a user interface which can be used to perform certain actions. So now this tab is having one separate user interface. It is having separate user interface. This is having separate user interface. This is having separate user interface. So this are multiple user interfaces we can able to combine with the help of tab set. Inside the tab set, we can have tabs. So tab set is a parent component, tab is a child component. Okay, tab set is the parent, tab is a child. So in order to prepare the tab set, we have to use a separate component like lightning tab set. To prepare the tab, we have to use lightning tab. Okay, two components we have to use. Tab set is the parent component. Inside one tab set, we can place multiple tabs also, like as related tab, details tab, patient details, customer details. Like that, we can show multiple tabs also, depends upon the requirement. Okay, understood the concept now? Now, in this case, what are the various properties that we have for tab set? What properties are having for tab? Now let me explain one by one, and then how to use this lighting tab set in the tab, how to design our own corresponding user interfaces. Now let me show you with the practical use case. Okay, now let's see. Make a note of this one. Tab components. Tab components are used to combine a collection of graphical user interfaces into a single entity so that we can perform the related operations in the application. To prepare the tab components, we have to use the below two components. First one, lighting tab set, which can be denoted by using lighting tab set. Second one, lighting tab, which can be denoted by using lighting tab. These are the two components. Tab set. Lighting tab set. Tab set is a container are a panel, are a placeholder, a container, or a panel, or a placeholder which can be used to group a collection of user interfaces. User interfaces to perform the related actions. We can place either one or more tabs inside it. We can place one or more tabs inside it. Each tab contains its own user interface to perform the actions. By default, by default, all the tabs will be visible in horizontal format and at a time we can access only one tab. Now the properties. Now, done with this. Now let's see the properties. What are the various properties are available for this tab set? Now let's see. First property, title property. Title property is used to specify the tooltip text is to be visible for the people. To specify the tooltip text message visible. And then we are having this property called as variant. Variant property. What type of variant you would like to apply? Whenever if you want to show that the tab set components. If you want to show the tabs in the form of this vertical, then we can specify the appearance. How the tabs will be getting visible inside the tab set. All the tabs will be visible in horizontal format in vertical format, or is it a scoped tab? Now, what do you mean by this a scoped tab? Now let me show you. This is the normal tabs over here. Okay, these tabs are normal. Now we have one more category, that is scoped tabs. Let's see. When you go to this charter, here we can see some tabs. See, these are the tabs over here. These tabs are comes under scoped tabs. This is the scoped appearance. Okay, post, poll, question. This now this appearance is called as scoped appearance. This is called as tab set type as scoped tabs. Okay, now in this case, now we can specify the variant. Variant to specify the appearance of the tab component, that means tabs inside the tab set. For example, we are having this option. Now, I would like to specify variant will be scoped. Vertical. Default option. Selected a tab ID. Horizontal. Now, to specify the tab to be selected, that means the tab reference ID to be get selected by default. So whenever I'm using this tab set component, in the tab set you will be having multiple tabs. Which tab has to be selected by default? Only one tab we can make it selected at a time here, not multiple. Next, the tab component here. Tab. This is called as lighting tab. Label will not be available for the tab set. Label is available for a tab. Okay, here in this tab, you will have this label. Because tab set is what? Only it's a container. That's it. It's like as a placeholder. That's it. Inside this, we are adding the tab here. Okay, inside this, we are adding the tab. Now, this is the tab we are going to add. So, for this tab, you can give the label, like as some related details, like that. Now, this tab will be having the actual user interface. It will do some actions over here. Like that, we can add one more tab. We can add one more tab. We can add one more tab. Each tab will have its own user interface to perform the actions. Okay, so this is a tab set. These are tabs. Okay, now, so tab set will be always a parent. Inside the tab set, we can add tabs. So that here, tab component will be always a child component to tab set. Inside the tab set only, we can add tabs. Okay, so this is the hierarchy we used to follow. Now, let's see. Lighting tab component is used to add a tab inside the tab set which contains its own user interface. Which contains its own user interface. Inside the tab, we can represent either static or dynamic content. Dynamic content. We can place the required visual appearance controls on the tab, which can be used to supply the required input values to the component, and we can perform the required actions. And we can perform the required actions. Always, lighting tab component should be a child component. Child component to tab set. Tab set. We can place multiple tabs inside the tab set. We can place multiple tabs inside the tab set. Now, the properties. First property, label property, to specify the caption or label for the tab. Second property here, title property, to specify the tooltip text message to be visible. Tooltip text message to be visible. ID property, to specify the reference name for the tab.